If you have been asking, seeking, or knocking, then listen closely. There are unmistakable signs that you are being prepared to receive what is already yours. What you deeply desire is not random. It is a divine whisper guiding you toward what is already yours. Desire is not a fleeting wish or a mere preference. It is the evidence of things unseen, the seed of your future reality. When a desire takes root within you and refuses to fade, it is not just your own longing. It is the voice of God within, calling you forward. It is the assurance that what you seek is seeking you, that what you long for already exists in the unseen, waiting for you to claim it. Desire begins as a gentle nudge, a subtle pull towards something greater. But as you move closer to its fulfillment, it intensifies. You feel it more deeply, you think of it more often, and it begins to shape your every thought and action. This is not coincidence. It is divine alignment. The stronger the desire, the closer you are to its manifestation. The intensity is not meant to frustrate you, it's meant to prepare you, to ensure that you are fully aware and open to what is unfolding. There may be times when the desire grows so strong that it becomes almost unbearable, filling your mind in every quiet moment, stirring your spirit even in sleep. This is not an accident. The longing is stretching you, expanding your faith and aligning you with the version of yourself that is ready to receive it. Every great blessing requires a vessel prepared to hold it, and your increasing desire is shaping you into that vessel. You must not resist it or question it. The desire is not meant to tease you, it is meant to awaken you. Many will try to suppress their desires, fearing disappointment, fearing that they are asking for too much. But there is no such thing as asking for too much when the desire is true and deeply felt. What is placed within your heart is not a mistake, and it is not an empty dream. It is a preview of what is to come. The only thing that delays its arrival is doubt. If you deny your own desire, if you push it away or dismiss it as impossible, you reject what is meant for you. But if you embrace it, if you nurture it, if you hold on to it with unwavering belief, it must come to pass. The world may try to tell you that your desires are impractical, that you must be realistic, that you should not hope for too much. But faith is not about being realistic. It is about knowing what is real before it is seen. It is about recognizing that what you desire is already written, already waiting for you to step into it. The intensity of your desire is a sign that you are approaching the moment of its unfolding, that the unseen is preparing to reveal itself in ways beyond your imagination. There may be obstacles, moments where the world around you seems unchanged, where nothing appears to be happening. But this is only the illusion of delay. The more deeply you desire, the more the unseen forces move to bring it into form. The outer world is always slow to catch up with what has already shifted within. Do not be deceived by appearances. What you feel within is more real than what you see without. The external world will always conform to the inner state. This is why desire must not be feared or silenced. It is a compass, a divine signal that something greater is within reach. It is a force, not a weakness. The stronger the desire, the greater the potential for transformation. It is not enough to wish for something casually. You must dwell in it, live in it, breathe in it as if it were already yours. The more intensely you desire, the more powerfully you attract. You were not given desire to suffer in its absence. You were given desire because fulfillment is inevitable. What you long for with all your being is already seeking you in return. The intensity is only proof that the moment of realization is drawing near. There comes a time when everything around you seems to shift, and the people who once walked beside you begin to fade away. The conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced, and the spaces that once felt familiar begin to feel foreign. It is as if the world itself is repositioning you, pulling you away from the distractions and noise that once surrounded you. At first, it may feel unsettling, even painful, to watch friendships dissolve and relationships grow distant. But this is not rejection, it is preparation. Something is being done within you, something that requires solitude, something that cannot be accomplished in the presence of those who are not meant to walk the next part of your journey. In this season of isolation, you may feel as though you have been left behind, as though life is moving forward for everyone else while you remain still. But there is no stillness in this process. There is deep, unseen movement happening within you. You are being called inward, away from the external chatter and distractions, so that you can hear more clearly. When everything is stripped away, you are left with yourself. And it is in this space that revelation comes. It is here that your purpose begins to take shape, not influenced by the opinions of others, but by the truth that has been waiting to be uncovered within you. This period of isolation often comes after a great transition or before a major breakthrough. It is a sacred pause, a divine restructuring, a time when the old is being removed to make room for something new. The friendships and connections that were once essential may no longer align with where you are being led. You are not losing them, you are being positioned. Not everyone is meant to accompany you to the next stage of your journey. Some people were only meant to walk with you for a season, and when that season ends, they must depart. Holding on too tightly to what was will only delay what is meant to come. You may notice that your appetite for certain things changes. The activities that once entertained you no longer hold the same appeal. The conversations that once felt engaging now feel shallow. It is not that the world has changed. It is you who is changing. You are being prepared, refined, molded into someone who can carry the weight of the blessings that are on the way. This process is not always comfortable because it requires shedding, releasing, and trusting in the unseen. The silence that surrounds you is not empty. It is filled with purpose. In this solitude, you will begin to see yourself more clearly. When the distractions fade, when the voice is quiet, you are left with your own thoughts, your own heart, your own truth. This can be uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary. Growth does not happen in comfort. Transformation does not happen in the presence of constant noise. It happens in the stillness, in the moments when you are forced to confront yourself, to sit with your dreams, to listen to the whispers of the divine. This is where the greatest revelations come. There may be moments when you long for the old connections, when the weight of solitude feels heavy. You may be tempted to reach back, to reconnect with what is familiar, simply to ease the discomfort. But the old cannot carry you into the new. What is meant for you will not require you to shrink back into who you used to be. This isolation is not meant to punish you, but to elevate you. It is a stripping away of everything that no longer serves you, a refining fire that prepares you for what is coming. It is during this time that faith is tested. When you cannot see what is ahead, when you cannot feel progress in the way you expect, will you still trust that something greater is at work? This is where many fall away, mistaking isolation for abandonment, mistaking the silence for absence. But there is no absence here. There is only preparation. If you can embrace this season rather than resist it, you will emerge on the other side with a strength, a clarity, and a vision that could not have been formed in the presence of the crowd. Something is being built within you that requires deep foundations. And foundations are not built in public. They are built in quiet, in solitude, beneath the surface where no one can see. What is happening within you now may not be visible to the outside world, but it is real. And when the time comes when the work is complete, what was once unseen will be undeniable. There comes a moment when the weight of the past becomes too heavy to carry, when the memories that once defined you no longer serve you, and when the attachments that once felt secure now feel like chains. This is not a coincidence. It is a divine signal, a whisper urging you to release what no longer belongs in your life. You may not fully understand why, but something within you begins to shift. The things that once held significance begin to lose their power over you. The conversations that once consumed your thoughts no longer stir the same emotions. The places, the people, the situations that once shaped your identity no longer feel aligned with who you are becoming. This is not a loss. It is an invitation. At first, the urge to let go may feel unsettling. It may even feel like betrayal. To release the relationships, the memories, the versions of yourself that you have carried for so long. But you are not meant to remain in the same state forever. Growth requires release. Evolution demands that you free yourself from the past in order to step fully into the future. You may find yourself resisting, holding on out of habit, fearing that if you let go, you will lose a part of yourself. But what if holding on is what is keeping you from discovering who you are truly meant to be? What if the very thing you are afraid to release is the thing blocking your blessings? You will begin to notice that old emotions resurface, not to torment you, but to be acknowledged and released. The pain you buried, the disappointments you tried to forget, the moments you replayed over and over in your mind, these things rise to the surface because they can no longer remain hidden. You are being asked to confront them, not to dwell in them, but to finally set them free. The past can only control you for as long as you allow it to. The moment you decide to stop reliving it, to stop allowing it to define you, is the moment you reclaim your power. Letting go is not a passive act. It is an intentional decision. It is choosing not to respond in the way you once did. It is choosing to release resentment, to walk away from the need for closure, to stop waiting for an apology that may never come. It is realizing that your peace is more valuable than any explanation, that your future is more important than any past wound. This is where transformation begins, not in the holding on, but in the release. The tighter you cling to what was, the harder it becomes to receive what is meant to be. You may feel the pull to detach from certain relationships, not out of bitterness, but because you are growing in a direction they cannot follow. You may feel an inner knowing that the old version of yourself is no longer who you are. The things you once tolerated, you can no longer accept. The patterns you once repeated, you now recognize as distractions. This is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something is shifting. The things that are leaving your life are making space for something greater. The urge to let go is not a loss. It is preparation for an increase. The discomfort of release is temporary, but the freedom it brings is permanent. When you release the past, you are not left empty, you are left open. Open to new opportunities, new experiences, new relationships that align with who you are now. You are no longer trapped in the cycle of repeating the same lessons. You are free to move forward without the burdens that once held you back. There is nothing in your past more powerful than the promise of your future. The only thing that can keep you tied to what was is your unwillingness to let go. As you release, you may find moments of grief, moments where you feel the absence of what was familiar, but do not mistake nostalgia for a reason to return. The past will always seem kinder in hindsight, but that does not mean it is where you belong. Growth often requires solitude, a season of realignment where you must walk forward without looking back. Trust that what is meant for you will never require you to shrink back into an old version of yourself. If something is being removed, it is because it is no longer needed for the journey ahead. There is no fear in letting go, only freedom. The urge you feel is not random. It is a divine invitation to step into something greater. What is ahead of you is far more significant than anything behind you. The moment you release the weight of the past, you step into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. There comes a time in life when everything you once relied on begins to shake, when the very foundation of your beliefs is tested, and when what once felt certain is suddenly filled with doubt. You may find yourself questioning the path you are on, wondering if you have misunderstood the signs, if you have misheard the call, if you are walking in the wrong direction. The things you prayed for seem delayed. The promises you held on to feel distant, and the weight of waiting becomes heavier than you expected. This is not a punishment, it is a test. It is in these moments, when nothing seems to be moving, that your faith is truly revealed, not in the ease of answered prayers, but in the stillness of uncertainty. There will be seasons when everything in you wants to give up, when circumstances seem to be working against you, when every door appears to be closing. You will wonder if you are strong enough to keep going, if the vision placed in your heart was real, or if you were just hoping for something that was never meant for you. Faith is not just believing when everything is going well. It is believing when nothing makes sense, when the road ahead is unclear, when you cannot see the outcome but choose to trust anyway. This is the refining fire, the place where true strength is formed, not in comfort, but in endurance. The test of faith often comes in silence, in the waiting, in the moments when God seems distant. You pray, but the answers do not come in the way you expect. You seek clarity, but confusion lingers. You ask for direction, but feel as if you are walking blind. This is the moment when many fall away, mistaking delay for denial, mistaking silence for abandonment. But faith is not about seeing, it is about knowing. It is about trusting that even when you cannot perceive movement, something is happening beneath the surface. The roots of a tree grow in darkness before they ever break through the soil. You may find yourself being stripped of the things you once depended on, the relationships, the security, the stability that made you feel safe. The things that once comforted you no longer hold the same power, and you are left with nothing but your faith. This is where the transformation happens. It is in the moments when you have no choice but to rely on something greater than yourself that you discover the depth of your own belief. It is in these trials that your trust is strengthened, your resilience is tested, and your spirit is refined. Faith is not proven in the absence of struggle, but in the midst of it. Anyone can believe when life is unfolding according to their expectations. But it is in the moments of uncertainty, in the unanswered prayers, in the waiting seasons, that true faith is forged. It is the willingness to keep walking when you do not know what lies ahead, to keep pushing forward when everything in you wants to stop. It is choosing to believe in the unseen, to hold on to hope when logic tells you to let go, to trust that even in the chaos, there will be times when you feel like you have reached your limit, when the weight of waiting becomes unbearable, when you wonder if you have misinterpreted the path you are on. But faith is not about perfect understanding. It is about unwavering trust. It is about believing that even when things do not happen on your timeline, they are still happening in divine timing. The delay is not a denial, it is preparation. The struggle is not a sign that you are forgotten. It is a sign that you are being strengthened for what is coming. You will notice that when your faith is tested, you are also being asked to surrender, to release the need for control, to let go of the expectations you have placed on how things should unfold, to trust that what is meant for you will not pass you by. The test is not about whether you can wait, it is about how you wait. Will you remain steadfast, or will you let doubt consume you? Will you continue to believe, or will you allow fear to dictate your choices? The answers do not always come when you want them to, but that does not mean they are not on the way. The test of faith is never easy, but it is always necessary. It reveals who you are when everything is stripped away, when there is nothing left but trust. It forces you to confront your fears, to push past your doubts, to stand firm even when the ground beneath you feels unsteady. The strength you build in these moments will carry you into the future, shaping you into someone who does not just believe in the promise, but is ready to receive it. There comes a point when, despite everything happening around you, a deep calm settles within. The storms of life may rage, uncertainty may loom, and challenges may arise, yet there is something within you that remains untouched by the chaos. This is not the absence of struggle, nor is it ignorance of reality. It is a shift in perspective, a realization that nothing external has the power to disturb what is rooted deeply within. You begin to notice that the things that once triggered fear or anxiety no longer hold the same weight. Situations that would have once shaken you now pass through you like a breeze, unable to break the foundation that has been established inside. This peace is not something that comes from mere positive thinking or temporary distractions. It is something unshakable, something that cannot be given or taken away by anything in the physical world. You may find yourself facing the same problems, yet responding to them differently. The things that once consumed your thoughts no longer hold power over you. The need to control every outcome fades, replaced by an unexplainable assurance that everything is unfolding as it should. There is a quiet knowing that no matter what happens, you will be okay. You stop striving, you stop forcing, and instead you rest in the certainty that what is meant for you will find you. As this inner peace strengthens, you begin to notice a detachment from external validation. The opinions of others, the expectations of the world, the pressures that once weighed on you so heavily begin to lose their grip. You no longer seek approval because you have found something far greater. An unwavering trust in yourself and in the divine plan that is unfolding in your life. There is no longer a need to prove anything to anyone. The restlessness that once drove you to seek outside validation dissolves, replaced by the calm confidence that your worth is not determined by what others think, but by what you know to be true within. This peace does not mean life is without hardship, nor does it mean you will never face difficulties again. But something within you shifts in how you handle them. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer allow fear to dictate your choices. Instead of resisting the challenges that arise, you face them with strength, knowing that every difficulty carries a lesson, every setback is a setup for something greater. Even in the waiting, even in the moments when nothing seems to be happening, you do not panic because you know that divine timing is never rushed. You are no longer controlled by impatience because you trust that everything is aligning perfectly. There is a stillness that follows you wherever you go. In conversations, in decisions, in unexpected circumstances, this peace remains. It is not forced, nor is it something you have to convince yourself of. It simply is. You are no longer swayed by temporary emotions, no longer easily shaken by the ups and downs of life. There is a deep awareness that nothing is permanent, that all things are working together in ways beyond what you can see. You no longer operate from fear, but from faith. You no longer try to manipulate or control outcomes because you understand that everything is already in motion, moving toward your highest good. People may begin to notice this shift in you. They may sense a change in your presence, a quiet strength that speaks louder than words. The way you move, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to life all reflect a deeper understanding, a deeper trust. You no longer explain yourself because you no longer feel the need to be understood. You are content in your knowing, confident in your journey. There is nothing to force, nothing to chase, nothing to prove. You are exactly where you are meant to be, and that knowing is enough. With this peace comes clarity. The noise of the world fades and you begin to hear your own intuition more clearly. The distractions that once pulled you in different directions no longer have power over you. You are no longer making decisions out of fear or insecurity, but from a place of inner certainty. You recognize that you do not have to run after opportunities. The right ones will come to you effortlessly. You do not have to beg for what is meant for you. It will find you at the perfect time. You move through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that everything is aligning exactly as it should. This unshakable peace is the greatest gift you can receive. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you have it, nothing can break you. You may bend, you may face storms, you may encounter moments of difficulty, but you will never be destroyed. Because this peace is not rooted in circumstances, it is rooted in something much deeper. It is rooted in faith, in trust, in the unshakable knowing that no matter what happens, you are exactly where you need to be, and all things are working in your favor. There comes a time when the way you express yourself begins to shift, not because you are trying to force it, but because something deep within you has changed. The words you once used so carelessly no longer feel natural. The complaints, the self-doubt, the negativity that used to slip from your lips without a second thought now feel foreign, as if they no longer belong to you. You catch yourself mid-sentence, realizing that you no longer want to speak from a place of limitation or fear. Instead, you start choosing words that align with the vision you are stepping into. Your speech becomes more intentional, more powerful, and filled with the kind of energy that shapes reality, rather than simply reacting to it. With this shift in speech, your thoughts begin to transform as well. You become aware of the silent dialogue running through your mind, the stories you have told yourself for years, and the beliefs you have unconsciously carried. Thoughts that once held you back begin to dissolve, replaced by a new understanding of what is possible. You recognize that every word, whether spoken or unspoken, carries power. You no longer allow your mind to entertain doubt and fear the way it once did. Instead, you replace old patterns with affirmations of strength, abundance, and unwavering faith. It is no longer about pretending to be positive. It is about aligning with the truth of who you are becoming. As your words and thoughts change, so does your perspective. You no longer see obstacles as permanent roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth. Where you once saw lack, you now see potential. Where you once felt stuck, you now recognize movement happening beneath the surface. You stop speaking about what is missing, and instead you start speaking about what is coming. You do not ignore reality, but you refuse to reinforce the limitations of the past. You begin to declare your blessings before they arrive, because deep within, you already know they are on their way. This transformation does not go unnoticed. The people around you begin to pick up on the difference. Some may be drawn to the confidence and clarity in your voice, sensing that something is different about you. Others may not understand it, questioning why you no longer engage in the same conversations of doubt and fear. Some may even feel uncomfortable because they are still operating from the same mindset you have left behind. But you do not shrink yourself to fit into the old spaces anymore. You no longer feel the need to justify your growth or explain your faith. Your words are no longer meant for everyone, and that is okay. Your inner dialogue becomes your greatest weapon. In moments where you would have once spiraled into worry, you catch yourself and redirect your thoughts. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, you begin to focus on what could go right. You speak life into your circumstances even when things appear unchanged. You declare success before it manifests, knowing that words hold the power to shape what is to come. You no longer say, "I hope it happens." Instead, you say, "It is happening." You no longer say, "I don't know how." Instead, you say, "The way will be made clear." This is not blind optimism. It is the realization that your words are a reflection of what you believe, and belief is the foundation of all creation. Your conversations shift as well. You no longer have interest in gossip, complaining, or speaking about problems without seeking solutions. You surround yourself with people who also understand the power of speech, those who uplift, encourage, and inspire. When you speak, you choose words that build, that heal, that empower. You listen more carefully, aware of the energy that words carry. You are no longer careless with your speech because you understand that every word spoken is a seed planted into the soil of your reality. You no longer waste your breath on things that do not serve you because you know that what you speak, you invite into existence. You begin to realize that your external world is shifting in response to your new way of thinking and speaking. Opportunities begin to appear, relationships align, and doors open that you once thought were impossible. What you speak over yourself starts to manifest in ways you could not have imagined before. You are no longer waiting for proof before you believe. You believe first, and the proof follows. The moment you change your words, you set a new reality into motion. You do not need to force it. You simply continue speaking and thinking in alignment with the life you are creating. With each passing day, this way of thinking and speaking becomes second nature. You do not have to remind yourself to be mindful of your words. It simply becomes who you are. The old patterns, the limiting beliefs, the powerless language of the past all fade away, replaced by a deeper knowing that every word, every thought, every declaration is shaping your future. You are no longer controlled by fear, no longer speaking from lack, no longer thinking small. Instead, you move with certainty, knowing that the shift in your mind and your words has already set everything in motion.